Vecna Puppet. Vecna's final monologue drops the bomb we've suspected for years. Will was his puppet from the start. While possessed by the Mind Flayer in Season 2, Will didn't just survive the tunnels, he built them. The massive labyrinth under Hawkins, Will dug it under orders he couldn't refuse. The map he sketched in the buyer's house, his own handiwork. Joyce used the villain's surveillance system against him without ever knowing. You were my vessel, my spy. The words carved deep. Will wasn't only a victim. He was the architect of the prison that trapped everyone. The guilt has haunted him since the first gate opened. When he finally breaks free in the finale, the tunnels collapse with him, but the memory doesn't. His body healed. His mind carries the blueprint of hell. And when he looks at the scars on the ground, you see the truth. Some tunnels never really close. Missing person. A missing poster hangs in the school hallway. Jane Hopper. The phone number listed, 765-303-2020, isn't the usual fake 555 prefix. It's real. Dial it in the real world and you get a pre-recorded voicemail from the Hawkins Police Department urging people to report sightings of the missing girl. Netflix went full immersive marketing, blurring the line between show and reality like Ghostbusters 1800 number in the 80s. The detail turns a background prop into an interactive Easter egg. When the camera lingers on the poster, the invitation is clear. Call if you've seen her. In a season about searching across dimensions and memories, the number feels like one last lifeline. The line between worlds thins, and sometimes the only way to find someone is to pick up the phone. Ring. Murray slips Jonathan a Love Supreme cassette with that signature smirk. You'll find it quite engaging. Jonathan's panic is immediate. Later, alone, he opens the case, and Nancy's engagement ring tumbles out. The album's 4 movements, sorrow building to euphoria, mirror their entire arc. Darkness survived, highs reached, love tested to breaking. Jonathan realizes the supreme love they have can't bridge the growing divide. He unproposes. She accepts with tears and relief. Murray's pun was the clue all along. The cassette isn't just music, it's their relationship compressed into vinyl. Beautiful, painful, finite. When they part without bitterness, the tape plays on in the background. Murray knew. He always knows. And sometimes the most loving thing is to let the needle lift before the song scratches. Milbarge. Murray approaches the military quarantine checkpoint, flashes a fake ID, and introduces himself as Austin Milbarge ID 4. 5289er. The name isn't pulled from thin air. It's Dan Aykroyd's character in the 1985 Cold War comedy Spies Like Us. A brilliant but bumbling genius recruited as a decoy spy to distract the enemy while the real agents work. The parallel is hilarious and perfect. Murray is Hawkins' own overlooked genius. Conspiracy theorist, linguist, improviser, always stumbling into high-stakes espionage way above his pay grade. He bluffs his way through, grenades hidden in a salad, chaos in his wake. The military guard doesn't get the reference, but fans do. Murray doesn't need to be the hero. He just needs to be the distraction. And when the checkpoint clears, you realize he's been playing the role since Season 2. Holly's bedroom wall holds a prominent poster for an American Goonies. 11 sprints through her training course in Episode 1. Gray tracksuit, red shorts, blue bandana tied around her head. At first glance, it's just 80s workout gear. Freeze the frame and compare. It's the exact reverse color scheme of Josh Brolin's outfit in The Goonies. Gray shirt, blue shorts, red bandana. The Duffers flipped it deliberately as a massive tribute to the childhood adventure film that shaped their storytelling. Kids banding together against impossible odds, treasure hunts, booby traps, unbreakable friendship. And the meta layer cuts deeper. Sean Astin, who played Bob Newby in Season 2, was Mikey in The Goonies. When 11 clears the course with that determined grin, you see the Goonies crew running alongside her in spirit. Easy peasy, just like that. The show never forgets its roots. Adventure isn't dead, it's just wearing different colors now. Dark crystal. In Mike's bedroom back in Season 1, a dark crystal poster hangs on the wall. Simple 80s set dressing, easy to ignore amid the toys and posters. Fast forward to the finale of Season 5, and a major creature silhouette emerges from the shadows, its jagged form and eerie proportions matching figures straight out of Jim Henson's 1982 fantasy masterpiece. The resemblance isn't subtle once you see it. The Duffer Brothers have admitted to meticulous planning from the start, and this isn't coincidence, it's long-game myth-building. The Dark Crystal's shattered world where dark forces corrupt light and fracture reality mirrors Hawkins perfectly. Gates tearing open, minds breaking, light fighting endless dark. That poster wasn't random nostalgia, it was prophecy. Every throwaway detail in Mike's room was a clue planted years ago. When the creature's outline fills the screen, the callback lands hard. Stranger Things was always borrowing from the same fractured fairy tale. The crystal broke long before the first gate opened, and now it's finally showing its cracks. Vecna Kill. Will taps into the hive mind in Episode 4's climax. Eyes rolling back, body rigid, power surging. He lifts demogorgons into the air and snaps their limbs with violent psychic force. The contortions, the bone-cracking angles, the bodies twisting unnaturally. It's identical to Vecna's kill method from Season 4. Chrissy, Patrick, Fred, all lifted, all broken the same way. Will isn't inventing new power. He's channeling Vecna's own signature move, picking up the villain's psychic frequency like static on a radio and turning it against the swarm. The moment is revenge distilled. The boy Vecna used as a puppet now wields the same cruelty to protect his friends. When the last Demogorgon crumples, the echo is deafening. Vecna's power wasn't invincible. It was just waiting for someone to steal it back. Dare clash. Nancy looks Jonathan dead in the eye and says it plainly. I hate the clash. The words hang in the air like a slap. That band has been Jonathan's lifeline since season 1. Should I Stay or Should I Go was the song that saved Will, the emotional thread tying the Byers brothers together through every gate and nightmare. Jonathan played it on repeat, clung to it like armor. Now Nancy admits she disassociates every time it starts, that she's been tolerating it for him. The confession isn't just about music. It's brutal honesty after years of tiptoeing around each other's wounds. The couple finally speaks truth instead of comfort. And for fans, it stings deeper. The song that rescued Will feels rejected, like part of the Byers' legacy is being quietly set aside. But in that raw moment, something stronger emerges. Love isn't blind loyalty to old songs. It's surviving the silence when the record stops. When they hug afterward, the clash fades. What remains is real. Mr. Clark back in season 1, Mr. Clark. Clark stands at the chalkboard explaining alternate dimensions to a room full of half-listening kids. Wormholes, space between realities, theoretical physics tossed out like it's just another Tuesday lesson. Everyone forgot it the second the bell rang. Until Dustin's breakthrough in the finale, the Upside Down isn't a separate world. It's a wormhole connecting Hawkins to another dimension. Exactly what Mr. Clark described years earlier. The Duffers hid the entire cosmology of the show in a throwaway science class. When Dustin pieces it together, the payoff crashes in. No dramatic reveal music, just the quiet realization that one teacher's casual explanation held the key to everything. The gates, the rifts, the frozen clock. Mr. Clark literally spelled it out before anyone knew it mattered. In Hawkins, knowledge isn't power, it's survival. And the kids finally listened when the world was ending. The lesson wasn't forgotten, it was waiting. 8. Callie finally gets her full backstory, and it lands like a blade. Her blood was harvested to create more experiments like 11. Most failed. 11's would have worked, so she chose the ultimate sacrifice. If she and 11 die, the bloodline ends, and no more psychic weapons can be made. Noble in the darkest way. But her actions scream traitor, willing to kill 11 to stop the cycle, even if it means spilling family blood. The reveal reframes everything about her. Not reckless, not vengeful for vengeance's sake, but a protector who saw the horror factory and decided to burn it down from the inside. 11 makes her own choice. Live, fight, break the pattern herself. When Callie fades from the story, the weight settles. Sacrifice isn't always heroic. Sometimes it's just the only way to end the nightmare. And 11 carries that burden forward, refusing to let the bloodline claim another generation. Poltergeist. Episode 2 opens with terror. A Demogorgon bursts through, grabs Holly Wheeler by the ankle, and drags her upward toward the ceiling. She claws at the bedpost, hanging on for dear life, just like Carol Ann in Poltergeist, desperately gripping her headboard while the closet sucks her in. Moments later, Will mutters, "They're here," as the monsters close in. That line isn't casual. It's the most iconic phrase from Poltergeist, burned into pop culture history. The Duffers flood the finale with these visual and verbal homages, furniture moving, lights flickering, family photos tilting. The horror feels familiar because it's borrowed from the masters. But in Hawkins, the ghosts aren't on the other side of the TV. They're already inside the house. When Holly screams and the room tilts, the reference stops being cute. It becomes prophecy. They're here, and they're not leaving quietly. Tank. 11 lowers herself into the sensory deprivation tank one final time. Saltwater rising, blindfold tightening, world narrowing to darkness, and her own heartbeat. The scene mirrors season 1 perfectly. Will lost in the Upside Down, unreachable, 11 the only one who can find him. Back then she was terrified, a lab rat with powers she barely understood. Now she's a hero who has faced gods and monsters, yet here she returns to the same cold isolation, fighting for the boy who first pulled her into friendship. The silence before she goes under feels sacred. The hand reaching through the void is full circle storytelling at its purest, no cheap nostalgia, just earned emotion. We've watched her grow from frightened child to world breaker, but Will remains the anchor. When she opens her eyes in the black and whispers his name, 5 seasons of pain and connection crash together. The tank isn't a prison anymore. It's the place where they always find each other. And in the finale, it might be the only thing left that can bring him home. Miami Vice. Hopper, post-training, suggests stacking waffles and kicking back for a Miami Vice marathon. 11 shoots him the look, half annoyed, half fond. It's a direct callback to season 3 when he and 11 made Friday Night Miami Vice their ritual, the overprotective dad refusing to let her grow up too fast. Now the habit resurfaces, signaling Hopper slipping back into that protective shell even after everything they've survived. The show uses the reference to show character regression and growth colliding. Hopper's still the guy who wants to keep her safe with waffles and cop shows. 11's tired of being sheltered. The marathon never happens, but the suggestion lingers like unfinished business. When she walks away, you feel the quiet tension. Love doesn't stop growing pains. Sometimes it just has to watch from the couch while the kid outruns the past. Eddie Shield. Chaos erupts in the finale. Screams, explosions, the air thick with dust and desperation. Dustin shoves something into Steve's hands. A dented, battle-scarred garbage can lid. It happened so fast you could blink past it, but that lit as Eddie's. The exact same improvised shield Eddie Munson grabbed in Season 4, standing on the trailer roof, facing down a swarm of demo bats with nothing but courage and trash. He refused to run then. Now Steve wields it, blocking claws, bashing through the horde, keeping the group alive. Eddie's gone, but his instinct survives. Protect your friends, fight with whatever's left, never give up. The shield isn't steel or magic, it's defiance passed like a baton, from Eddie to Dustin to Steve. Heroism in Hawkins never looks glamorous. It looks like a kid handing over a piece of garbage that means everything. When Steve swings it one last time, you feel Eddie's grin in the shadows. He didn't die for nothing. His fight just found new hands. Silver Bullet. A single neon sign glows faintly in the background of the finale. Silver Bullet Diner. Barely noticeable unless you freeze the frame. But that name carries weight. It's a deliberate homage to Stephen King's Cycle of the Werewolf, the novella that became the cult classic film Silver Bullet, where the only way to stop an unstoppable monster ravaging a small town is a silver bullet. The Duffer Brothers dropped these horror nods like breadcrumbs, subtle for casual viewers scrolling past, razor sharp for anyone who knows the lore. In Hawkins, the real monster, the mind flayer Vecna, the hive mind, has felt just as invincible. That sign isn't advertising beer, it's foreshadowing. Something lethal, something silver, something final is coming for the thing that refuses to die. And when the screen fades to black, you realize they planted it seasons ago, waiting for the exact moment the parallel would land like a gut punch. The diner never served food, it served warning. Running up. Lucas cues up running up that hill for Max while she lies in her coma. Same Kate Bush track that anchored her fight in Season 4. But the real Easter egg hides in the map Holly follows. One waypoint simply reads, walk uphill. Superfluous directions at first glance, any kid would think to climb uphill. But for eagle-eyed fans, it's a quiet gag tied to Max's anthem. Even trapped in Henry's memories, her love for the song survives. The music that pulled her back from Vecna echoes in the margins of the story. When Holly hikes that path, the lyrics play in your head. If I only could, I'd make a deal with God. The song isn't gone. It's guiding the next generation home. Dragon. Among the scattered D&D miniatures on the table sits a three-headed dragon. Small, easy to overlook in the chaos of dice rolls and character sheets. Fans spotted it early and theorized it was a tease. Some ultimate multi-headed beast from Dimension X, the final boss waiting in the shadows. It never materialized on screen, but the Duffer Brothers don't place props by accident. That dragon is deliberate. A visual breadcrumb, perhaps a leftover idea from early drafts, perhaps a seed for something beyond the series, but absolutely intentional. In a show where every campaign detail carries weight, three heads scream symbolism. The Mind Flayer's influence splitting across hosts, Vecna's control fracturing minds, the hive mind itself multiplying threats. When Will the Wise faces down the Vampire Lord in the finale's D&D sequence, the dragon feels like unfinished business. The battle ends, but the figurine lingers in frame just long enough to make you question, was it always there to remind us the real monster has more than one face? Coincidence dies hard in Hawkins. That dragon is still waiting for its turn. Dustin's speech. Dustin stands at the podium during graduation, voice steady but eyes shining with something raw and unfiltered. I just wanted a normal childhood, but that childhood was stolen from us. The words land heavier than any valedictorian speech should. The Duffer Brothers have confirmed this moment was crafted to pay emotional tribute to Eddie Munson. His rebellion, his refusal to conform, his middle finger to the system that labeled him a freak. Dustin's lines echo Eddie's spirit, walls between jocks and nerds crumbling, unlikely friends forged in chaos, defiance against anyone trying to hold you back. The Hellfire Club shirt reveal, the screw the school energy. It's Eddie's unfinished graduation handed to Dustin on stage. He never got to walk across it. Dustin does it for him. When the crowd cheers and Dustin flips off the invisible authority in the sky, you hear Eddie's guitar riff in the background. The speech isn't about diplomas. It's about carrying the torch for the outcast who taught them all how to fight. And when Dustin steps down, the weight of that legacy feels unbreakable. First Shadow. Henry Creel's origin story isn't fully told on screen. It's in the Broadway prequel Stranger Things, The First Shadow, confirmed canon by the Duffers. The play dives into how Brenner tracked him down, how the First Shadow took root, the early fractures that turned a boy into Vecna. The show gives glimpses, enough to tease, but the full darkness waits on stage. When Henry whispers, "You are the Shadow," theater audiences already know the rest. Hawkins was just the stage. The real origin happened years earlier, in shadows no camera caught. The play isn't optional anymore. It's required viewing for the complete picture, and when the lights come up, you realize the series was always building toward this reveal. The monster didn't start in Hawkins. He started in silence, long before the first gate. Hollied. Mike gifts Holly a tiny D&D figurine early in the season. Ollie the Heroic, a cleric in blue robes and a yellowish-brown cape. It's sweet. Big brother inducting little sister into the party. Later in Henry's old house, Holly plays dress-up, slips into a blue and white dress, drapes a yellowish-brown cape over her shoulders, and steps into the woods like she's stepping onto the game board. The visual parallel is perfect. she's no longer the toddler in the background. She's Holly the heroic, cleric of the new generation. The show passes the D&D torch right in front of us, the spirit of campaigns, friendship, and bravery trickling down. When she walks into danger with that cape fluttering, it's not just cute, it's a promise. The next adventure belongs to her. Cold War. Dr. K's desperate scream in the Upside Down reframes the entire series. America wanted to weaponize Demogorgons against the Soviets. Hawkins wasn't random. Kamchatka Prison, Starcourt Mall's secret base, the gates themselves. It's all part of a supernatural arms race, both superpowers chasing Dimension X power, turning monsters into Cold War assets. The experiments, the spies, the fear, it was never just about one town, it was global. When the line lands, every plot thread snaps into focus. The Russians weren't behind, they were playing catch-up. Hawkins was ground zero for interdimensional dominance. The real enemy wasn't Vecna alone. It was the governments who opened the first door and never closed it. The Cold War didn't end with missiles, it ended with claws. Camzots. The episode title flashes, Escape from Camzots. It's an obvious homage to A Wrinkle in Time's nightmarish planet of mind control and darkness. The parallel is clear, characters trapped fighting to break free from an oppressive force. But the name carries a second, creepier layer. Camzots is also tied to the real-life disappearance of YouTuber Kenny Veach in 2014. He vanished near Area 51 while searching for a mysterious M-cave, spawning endless conspiracy theories about government cover-ups and hidden dimensions. The Duffers adore layering obscure horror and internet lore into their titles. Coincidence? In a show built on rifts, experiments, and missing people, it feels engineered. When the characters step into the dark unknown, the title stops being cute. It becomes unsettling. Camzots isn't just a reference, it's a reminder. Some escapes are illusions, and some disappearances never get solved.